Disappointment is the lot of women. Lucy Stone. The last speaker alluded to this movement as being that of a few disappointed women. From the first years to which my memory stretches, I have been a disappointed woman. When, with my brothers, I reached forth after the sources of knowledge, I was reproved with "It isn't fit for you, it doesn't belong to women." Then there was but one college in the world where women were admitted, and that was in Brazil. I would have found my way there, but by the time I was prepared to go, one was opened in the United States where women and Negroes could enjoy opportunities with white men. I was disappointed when I came to seek a profession worthy and immortal, being every employment was closed to me, except those of the teacher, the seamstress, and the housekeeper. In education, in marriage, in religion, in everything, disappointment is the lot of woman. It shall be the business of my life to deepen this disappointment in every woman's heart until she bows down to it no longer. I wish that women, instead of being walking showcases, instead of begging of their fathers and brothers the latest and gayest new bonnet, would ask of them their rights. The question of woman's rights is a practical one. The notion has prevailed that it was only an ephemeral idea, that it was but women claiming the right to smoke cigars in the streets, and to frequent barrooms. Others have supposed it a question of comparative intellect, others still, of sphere. Too much has already been said and written about woman's sphere. Trace all the doctrines to their source and they will be found to have no basis except in the usages and prejudices of the age. This is seen in the fact that what is tolerated in woman in one country is not tolerated in another. In this country women may hold prayer meetings, etc. But in Mohammedan countries it is written upon their mosques. Women and dogs, and other impure animals, are not permitted to enter. Wendell Phillips says, the best and greatest thing one is capable of doing, that is his sphere. I have confidence in the Father to believe that when He gives us the capacity to do anything He does not make a blunder. Leave women, then, to find their sphere. And do not tell us before we are born even, that our province is to cook dinners, darn stockings, and sew on buttons. We are told woman has all the rights she wants, and even women, I am ashamed to say, tell us so. They mistake the politeness of men for rights seats while men stand in this hall tonight, and their adulations, but these are mere courtesies. We want rights. The flour merchant, the house builder, and the postman charge us no less on account of our sex, but when we endeavor to earn money to pay all these, then, indeed, we find the difference. Man, if he have energy, may hew out for himself a path where no mortal has ever trod, held back by nothing but what is in himself. The world is all before him, where to choose, and we are glad for you, brothers, men, that it is so. But the same society that drives forth the young man, keeps woman at home a dependent working little cats on worsted, and little dogs on punctured paper, but if she goes heartily and bravely to give herself to some worthy purpose, she is out of her sphere and she loses caste. Women working in tailor shops are paid 1/3 as much as men. Someone in Philadelphia has stated that women make fine shirts for 12.5 cents apiece, that no woman can make more than 9 a week, and the sum thus earned, after deducting rent, fuel, etc., leaves her just 3.5 cents a day for bread. Is it a wonder that women are driven to prostitution? Female teachers in New York are paid $50 a year, and for every such situation there are 500 applicants. I know not what you believe of God, but I believe He gave yearnings and longings to be filled, and that He did not mean all our time should be devoted to feeding and clothing the body. The present condition of woman causes a horrible perversion of the marriage relation. It is asked of a lady, has she married well? Oh, yes, her husband is rich. Woman must marry for a home, and you men are the sufferers by this, for a woman who loathes you may marry you because you have the means to get money which she cannot have. But when woman can enter the lists with you and make money for herself, she will marry you only for deep and earnest affection. I am detaining you too long, many of you standing, that I ought to apologize, but women have been wronged so long that I may wrong you a little. Applause. A woman undertook in Lowell to sell shoes to ladies. Men laughed at her, but in 6 years she has run them out, and has a monopoly of the trade. Sarah Tyndall, whose husband was an importer of China, and died bankrupt, continued his business, paid off his debts, and has made a fortune and built the largest China warehouse in the world. MRS. Maude here corrected Lucy. MRS. Tyndall has not the largest China warehouse, but the largest assortment of China in the world. MRS. Tyndall, herself, drew the plan of her warehouse, and it is the best plan ever drawn. A laborer to whom the architect showed it, said, "Don't she know En as much as some men? I have seen women at manual labor turning out chair legs in a cabinet shop with a dress short enough not to drag in the shavings. I wish other women would imitate her in this. It made her hands harder and broader, it is true, but I think a hand with $1.25 a day in it, better than one with crossed 9p. The men in the shop didn't use tobacco, nor swear they can't do those things where there are women, and we owe it to our brothers to go wherever they work to keep them decent. The widening of women's sphere is to improve her lot. Let us do it, and if the world scoff, let it scoff, if it sneer, let it sneer, but we will go emulating the example of the sisters Grimke and Abby Kelly. When they first lectured against slavery they were not listened to as respectfully as you listen to us. So the first female physician meets many difficulties, but to the next the path will be made easy. Lucretia Mott has been a preacher for years, her right to do so is not questioned among friends. But when Antoinette Brown felt that she was commanded to preach, and to arrest the progress of thousands that were on the road to hell, why, when she applied for ordination they acted as though they had rather the whole world should go to hell, than that Antoinette should be allowed to tell them how to keep out of it. She is now ordained over a parish in the state of New York, but when she meets on the temperance platform the Rev. John Chambers, or your own Jen Carey, applause, they greet her with hisses. Theodore Parker said, "The acorn that the schoolboy carries in his pocket and the squirrel stows in his cheek, has in it the possibility of an oak, able to withstand, for ages, the cold winter and the driving blast. I have seen the acorn men and women, but never the perfect oak, all are but abortions." The young mother. When first the newborn babe nestles in her bosom, and a heretofore unknown love springs up in her heart, finds herself unprepared for this new relation in life, and she sends forth the child scarred and dwarfed by her own weakness and imbecility, as no stream can rise higher than its fountain,